Welcome to the Fulfillment Project podcast, where we, the seekers, unite together to step into our higher selves and highest purpose. I'm your host, Simply Sarah, and I'm glad that we have found each other here today. My aim for this show is to give you some tools and strategies, along with the awareness of emotional intelligence and intuition, as you create a life and business from alignment, creating more joy and fulfillment every single day. Welcome to the Fulfillment Project podcast. I am your host, Simply Sarah. I got high energy today. I am coming off an event that I just hosted last night, Simply Aligned. It'll probably be about a week and a half until you're actually seeing or hearing this. But it was so great to get into a room with a group full of like-minded women, women who want to be growth focused, women who don't just want to build a business and a life with all the shiny things, but how do they show up as their best self within it all so that they can live at these higher vibrational states of joy, of inner love, of total acceptance of themselves, of others, deep respect, kindness, bliss, completeness. Those are such high vibrations that I have tapped into over the last couple of years. And I'm really focused on creating a sisterhood of women who want to learn how to truly align their life. And that process comes from truly aligning with who we are, that authentic version of ourselves, not the labels or the expectations or other people's opinions or all these things outside of ourselves that a lot of the times we construct our life around. And I'm putting my hand up here if you're watching the video of this, because that was totally me. I told the story last night about really what happened to me in 2020. When COVID hit, it decimated our business because we were working with small gyms and boutique personal training studios and yoga studios and some holistic health clinics. And when they were shut down, our target market was gone. We had just hosted an event, a couple hundred people, literally a couple days before lockdown started. We had programs launching, contracts had to be let go from them just because of the state of the world and the state of the businesses of the people who signed up. And anyways, it was like this whole chaotic explosion of basically my entire career and the income that was projected and the business that my fiance and I were running together. And so he didn't have me to fall back on, and I didn't have him to fall back on. And it was interesting when this happened because I didn't panic. I didn't feel anxiety. I didn't feel like I had to try to rush into action and fix something or do something, because we couldn't just sit idle for a while. Like, there was stuff that needed to be done in order to uphold the lifestyle that we have. 6 months prior to COVID hitting, we opened up a facility, invested a lot of money in order to get that going, and staff and leadership and a lot of growth that went through with doing that, and just so much effort. And when COVID hit, it was really this rebranding that Joe and I were doing and really getting that facility up and running, and it gone. And like what I said, I didn't feel like I needed to rush into action or take any action out of those anxiety, fear-based states. And I felt this huge sense of peace, this sense of stillness that I had never really felt in myself. Like, I'd never felt peace before. And when I hit that, I was like, whoa, like this is different. This feels really good. And I started asking myself, wait a second, like, everything is crashing down around me. The business is basically decimated. There's a lot that's been invested that hasn't been recouped yet. There's no foresight on how the business is moving forward. The world is in a bit of chaos with everything happening, but yet I'm feeling this stillness. And when I got quiet with myself, I really started to recognize that I was glad that it was gone. I was glad that I was not taking action in the business that I was taking. I was glad that those contracts kind of didn't fall through. I was glad that we had to give up our facility and that was gone. I was glad that no one, needed my attention other than, the clients we had in the bunker we created for them, and that there was this lack of, I like to call it like energy umbilical cords stuck to us. Like, there were so many umbilical cords that were cut. And when it was all gone and I felt this peace, it made me realize how much I was most likely actioning and creating my life out of alignment. And really, this is the work that I have stepped into now because of the research that I've done, the courses that I've gone back and taken, the redirection of my life, the redefinement of who I am and how I show up and create my life is such a passion of mine to be able to give this back to other women. And I shared that story last night, and we had a lot of conversations around alignment and manifestation and how we're taking action. And a lot of the times we're doing a lot of things and we get on autopilot, and especially if you're running a business and there are things that you do in your business that produce the result that you want, like there's systems or there's launch strategies. We've been running the business for I think 5 or 6 years at that point, and so there was a beautiful system that we continued to run. But I wasn't aligned with the system anymore. There was deeper work that I wanted to do, there was a shift that I wanted to do, but I wasn't admitting that to myself. I never really wanted to open up a facility. That was Joe's dream, and it sounded good to me, and it looked like, it would give us, more recognition. And so I went along with that. I really didn't enjoy having a facility and running that. I also it was I was not at the leadership stage that I needed to be at in order to hold that up. And so it was this beautiful storm of so many things coming together. And ultimately, hindsight is 2020. And when we can step back, when we're out of a situation and have that aerial view where we're not in it. Because when we're in something, even if we're feeling stressed, we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves that it's okay. We tell ourselves that it's not so bad. We tell ourselves that it'll be over soon. We tell ourselves that we can get through this. And we usually just grit our teeth and buckle down and put the head down and get to work on what we need to do, because this is the action plan or the steps that I'm doing in order to create the result that I want. And what I've realized is that this is a total out of alignment manifestation cycle, like a misaligned manifestation cycle. And figuring out if I am creating or getting ideas or having desires that are from an ego based perspective, the action I take will always be misaligned. And so if we understand frequency and emotions from that frequency vibrational perspective, denser, lower emotions like disappointment, anxiety, worry, envy, jealousy, comparison, all of those emotions and states of mind are very low vibration, which means they're dense within us. And I want you to think about what density would feel within you. You're probably going to think of like heavy. You're probably going to think about, uninspired energy and just that lack of vitality within us. There's a stuckness to us. And especially if we're hitting that emotion of fear, there's that bit of franticness, that uneasy, that chaos of energy within us, because we're not aligned with our true natural state, which is joy. We want to feel joy. We're meant to feel joy. We're meant to feel that freedom within ourselves. We're meant to feel that expression of love that is just so like vulnerable and open and shameless and giving. You look at children and their energy and how they show up in the world and how just so unapologetic they are. That is our natural state. That's how we come into this world. But over time, there is this conditioning that is put on us. There is this lowering of our own internal light. There is this modeling that we see of how the world should be and how we should act and what is right and what is wrong and what is success and what is not success, what I should believe, what I shouldn't believe, other people's expectations on us of how we should be and what we should do. And I had gotten to the point, I'm kind of calling it my like midlife crisis now, 2 years ago at 35, recognizing that, oh my goodness, like I think I've been playing out the wrong playbook. I think I've been creating my life not from a place that is truly me, not from a place that feels really good for me, not from a place where I'm actually in my body and sensing and being intuitive as to, is this really what I want and what I want to be creating? And a lot of times, like what I said, we get into this stressful state, or we get into like these busy seasons and we shut off our emotional states altogether just to get through it. And what I've realized is how you create is what you create. And so if we're creating in chaos, or if we're creating in worry, or if we're creating in like jealousy or envy, or I need to do this because this person has this style of business. Oh, this person looks happy doing this. Maybe that's what I need. And we're looking outside of ourselves for all of our answers. The ideas or desires that are curated, these ideas of manifestation that are curated within us, are never going to come from our true place. And so when all this hit, and the world shut down and I really just found this stillness and went into myself, I started doing a lot of auditing. And awareness is really that first step to change for anything. What you are not aware of, you cannot change. And awareness is really only that first step. And this is part of what I am coining now as aligned intelligence. Perhaps if you've heard about my event that happened last night, Simply Aligned, or you saw it online, or maybe you're not local to the Toronto area and you're interested in really learning about alignment and how do we get to our true authentic self and how do we really know what is best for us and that life that we want to create and really those states of being and those states of how we show up in our world, like what we truly want to be creating. If you're interested in that, I'm hosting a masterclass happening June 15th. It's called The Art of Aligned Intelligence. I want to teach this method that I've taken myself through, that I've been taking clients through for the past year, and now that I'm really stepping up and speaking about. And so I'll leave you some links in the show notes below, or simply sarah.com/masterclass is where you can find that sign up happening June 15th. Because I want to talk about what is this system for changing who we are first. And like I said, that first step is self-awareness of having that aerial view and looking at so many different aspects of ourselves. How's my physical body doing? This fleshy meat suit that I actually need to live in. How is my mental body doing? That filter of our reality and how we process the world that we live in. How is my mental self, or sorry, my emotional self, that expression from the mental body that gives us the experience in our life? How is my intuitive self? Am I really in touch with myself and listening to what I want and what I need and what's right with me? And then also, am I really in touch with my true self expression, that true authentic side of myself, so that I can show up and say no when I need to say no, to have discernment on really what is right for me, what is not for me, have better leadership skills, be able to stand up and speak my truth from a grounded, pure place that is based fully from a high frequency. And when we can learn to have awareness on these things, then we can awaken a higher version of ourselves. We can learn to shift out of our everyday routines. We can shake up our reality. We can give ourselves new energy, new insights, new things, new ways of looking at things, and start to ask, like, what is it about my life that needs to really shift? What do I want to create moving forward? And I think it's really beautiful when life blows up at us and we literally are left with dust to have to put something back together, because we start from scratch. We get rid of all the stuff of, well, I'm really good at this, so I should do it. We get rid of, I'm used to doing all this stuff and seeing a result, so I'm going to keep doing it. And when that's all gone, we start from scratch. And so this is why a lot of people have these huge wake up moments when maybe the world implodes or someone close to them dies, or they have an accident where it's really life threatening and it is shaken up their entire world. That's awakening, is because our world has been shaken up and we look at it differently and parts of it are actually gone. So we feel like we have that freedom of choice to be able to show up and create what we want moving forward, because we have full permission, because there's nothing else holding us back. And so there's actually ways to be able to do that in our everyday life that keeps our mind fully awake and keeps our emotional state, the totality of ourselves fully awake and aware as to what is happening and how we can shift that. The third part of aligned intelligence is activating a new physical self, activating a new mental self, activating a new emotional self, activating a new intuitive self, activating a new way that we express ourselves, and really being it and seeing ourselves step out in different actions and different thought patterns and different emotions. Then the last stage to really mastering this aligned intelligence, which is really just mastery of ourselves so that we can show up and have the life and create the life and experience the life that we want, is embodiment. After we've activated different sides of ourselves, then it's the daily work of staying in alignment, staying in connection with our true self, making sure that we're doing the daily work to connect back to ground, to ensure that we are being discerning with the life that we are creating. And this is what I've coined aligned intelligence, and it is absolutely like shockingly changed my life. And this is a purpose for the rebrand. This is a purpose for the revamp of the podcast, to get this message out and bring women together to talk about this. And this is definitely helpful for males as well, but my heart is really with females, because I find that we put so much pressure on ourselves to have to show up and to be a certain way and to have this certain image or this like shell of a life. And especially if we're running businesses and we're out there and we're exposed, and with all the social media is great to be able to create a shell of a life of, hey, like, look, I'm smiling, I'm happy. But what's going on behind all of that? These are the conversations I love having with women. Like, how are you behind the business? How are you behind the relationship? How are you behind the family life? How are you behind your own health and fitness? Like, what's going on inside of yourself? And are there areas that we need to have a look at and start to grow and evolve and shift so that life just has more ease? Not that it's easier, just that you are better. Jim Rohn has a great quote, and I believe it goes, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, but don't wish for life to be easier, wish for yourself to be better. And that's what self-mastery is truly about. So if you've enjoyed this chat I've had with you here, if you've enjoyed, the different sparks of conversation that I've brought up through our time together here, come join my masterclass. Let's jam out for like 90 minutes to 2 hours and have a conversation about this. And, I have some worksheets for you to be able to do and to gain some awareness into, what's happening in your life right now and really, start taking those first action steps towards your own personal growth so that you can live in those higher vibrations and experience a higher, better quality of life. Because I know that if you're the business owner like me, you're going to set the goals. You're going to want to achieve things. You're going to want more. You're going to have higher manifestations. You're supposed to. But let's just reconnect with ourselves and figure out, are we really actually in alignment with ourselves first for how we're creating all that? Because that's where really the juice is in life, the becoming of who we need to be in order to have the life that we want. And so again, hosting a masterclass, the art of aligned intelligence, and you can grab the links in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me on this episode today. My website, simplysarah.com, is a great place for me to continue to support you on your journey to alignment, joy, and fulfillment. There you will find upcoming retreats that I am hosting, resources, books, and many other helpful tools to help you on your travels through this thing called life.